Hey, hello. Whew. Crazy last week of real intensity in a whole bunch of areas. Um, I wanted to share with others some things that I learned about myself in this journey and part of the unwinding of societal conditioning and other bits that are all underneath. The question I wanted to ask is, do you trigger people? Trigger, by my definition, is when you have someone uncover or release inside them a great amount of emotion. That can be sadness, anger, fear, frustration, even violence, etc. And you see it in the person. You say something, or just walking up to a person, you can feel them harden. That kind of distance in their eyes, the flickering flight, and they're reliving an experience that has nothing to do with you in that moment. I guess you could meet someone that you had a really intense experience with before, and that could be brought up as well. But they have a really intense experience, and a lot of times it's with somebody in their past. It can be even past life, and it has a whole big bubble of emotion that instantly puts them into some level of trauma response, which is fight or flight, fawn, or freeze. And a lot of times, they'll just harden, maybe their fists will go or whatever, and they're reliving an energetic experience that's not right here and right now. It's just bubbling from outside. I would have called it a curse for a long time because it was, but I've had experiences in my past where I have carried energies within me or been willing to allow through me energies that trigger people. And it will come out of frickin' left field. People will come into my life. They'll be friendly and other things. And then at one point they'll get open enough, and all of a sudden this blither will come out of them. Anger, like it's the fight response. It's like, where the fuck do you get off doing that? Or what the hell? And it has nothing to do with the energy of the situation. It could be something very simple. And this energy of their past will come out. I can speak to that. The first time I ever learned that I had this gift, I was at a ISTA training, which is a sacred sexuality training, and a young woman that was in my group got triggered like this. It was just slowly over, and I found out later that I reminded her of her father that raped her. And she came out with all of the energy towards her father to me because I triggered that. I carried some energy, whatever it was, and I was able to hold space for her. When she did it, she was screaming and yelling and very angry and pouring out all of this. I felt this fire coming at me of all this energy, and it was just passing by me, and my energy was holding her, and there was tears coming down my eyes, and this young woman was able to feel safe enough to release this huge bubble of energy that wasn't even mine. And it was terrifying. It felt very uncomfortable, but at the same time, I was getting so deeply energized. It took me an hour. I had to walk around and breathe and shout and yell outside after it was all complete, just to release everything that I was witness to and felt. And since that, it's opened up something where I embody those energies and I can hold space for people that are ready to receive it. And it's very hard sometimes because these energies are energies they don't like. But I'm finding that the light that I carry and the work that I've done for myself and cleaned up, I literally shine a light all around me to all people that interact with me. And especially going into deep dive type situations and workshops where you're exploring maybe depth and emotion and sexuality and touch and these kind of things, that light can shine out really strong. And it's hard to describe how it works, but my body receives the energy of the person that's beside me or I'm interacting with, and there's a communication with their higher self. And sometimes what happens is an energy comes through me that will assist them in opening. It's kind of like a healing experience without actually touching hands or whatever. But once there's an openness of receiving, this energy just kind of passes through me, and there's no owing or anything. It's just a very beautiful, loving sensation. And I'm on live. I'll talk to you soon. Um, and that loving sensation sometimes can be very triggering. It can cause effects inside the other person. Often it's women. Men don't receive this in the same way, but energies will come out of me, and I'm fully aware and I'm in fully integrity. It's not like copping a feel or some other thing that might be dirty or whatever. It's like, oh, in the situation where we're free flowing and allowing things to happen, maybe I'll put a hand on a chest or whatever, and I'll say, does this feel good? And if it does, no response, or it doesn't feel good, okay, a hand will come back. But I'm following the energy, and it's all in a very loving, respectful way. And these situations aren't always like in a puja situation or whatever. It's not like you're giving active verbal consent on every single step. You're just following the energies. And sometimes those exact things, like the hand on the chest or whatever, could be a trigger, and that can be seen as a violation all of a sudden, because originally it was a violation. But we're in a free-flowing situation where consent is based in the moment and by active conversation. So those triggers all of a sudden become uncomfortable, and often they won't respond to it in the moment. They'll decompress it afterwards, and they'll say, holy shit, there was something that was a violation there, because it's now tied to the previous situation, the previous energy. In my case, it was given from love and respect. And yes, there's darkness embodied of all the people. Here's another one that we need to talk about. So I have chosen to take my power back from my darkness, and I fully embody my dark and light. Now, there's a beautiful place of being fully in your light and fully understanding that has integrity in it, that darkness would never be a darkness. Darkness would never be a violation darkness. But it allows me to go up to the edges of these things to give experiences to people, so that a purity can come out, an awareness and a forgiveness of self, and to go to that edge so that the triggers can happen, so the energy can be released. But there's a tipping point. When a trigger comes in, you can either go into the victim and very firmly go back to the situation where this happened, tie all the characteristics of what happened before to this, so that now you can have something to fight and be angry at, or there can be a surrender to it and say, okay, there's a feeling here. This feels like the old situation, and a choice can be made to converse about it, to communicate in that time, be vulnerable about it, let it come up in a controlled fashion, and being accountable rather than wanting to smash and hurt and speak badly, because now all of a sudden you have enough power, because that's not the person that did it, but I could never really place the person that did it. That's this crazy energy of trigger, and this gift of being able to be a different person from what it was, but hold space so that they can go through their trigger. Now, that can be triggering for me as well, and it's a healing process for me, because now I can see it. I can see where that place was. I can see what part of my energy or what part of collective energy was there, and give it love and pass it through it. But if a choice is made to be in victim and to pull away and then speak about it with others but not share it back, or to close the loop of the energy, that's a choice that they have, but it will ultimately not heal the situation. It actually further traumatizes, and I get trauma forced back at me sometimes. I was recently part of a community situation where something very loving happened. We went deep. I was triggered as hell. They were triggered as hell. And then 5 days after the event, I got a text message saying, you're not permitted to ever return, and we're not going to tell you why. And it's like, tilt, what's going on here? I know when I went into that event, there were certain people that I felt had triggers towards me, and they sat in those triggers. They never talked to me about it or whatever. We had interactions as required in the group, and I know I triggered them sometimes, but they didn't talk about it in the moment, and they were feeling something from me that was of their trauma. It wasn't actually me, but it was projected on me. And some simple interaction that I did, like putting a hand on a chest, like I'm talking heart chest, not breasts or something, or words I might say, or reactions I might have, or fear that I might have in my body when we were doing an interaction, and that was read in some way that triggered their trauma. Now, this is a gift, but it's a gift that needs to be made aware of before we start, and to have a decompression afterwards, a deconstruction to discuss and say, okay, well, I felt this, and what did you feel at that time, and what were you asking, and all these kind of things. And without that clarity of the container where that full circle happens, a lot of times these can be taken as re-traumatizing. But the choice of the group that I was in was for me to change and to stop doing that, and I completely disagree. I completely believe that that trigger is the greatest gift I can give to other people. That shining out of my heart, that shining out and owning that I've got my own shit and I'm not a perfect person and I'm not a little cowed puppy that's going to hide all that stuff so that that never comes out. I want to live in my rawness, and I want to live in the integrity of, yes, I have feelings like we all do. And yes, I've got my own triggers and traumas, but I won't act on them. I won't fight or flight or freeze or fawn in that moment. I will sit with it. I will breathe it. And if that person's willing to talk about it, I will communicate it right to the shit, because I want that to be free from me. And I want, if you're interacting with another person and they're triggering at that level, they have a vibration that's similar of that wound. And that interaction happens as a gift for both, so that both can be healed, so that both give the opportunity. Now, if you don't choose it in that minute and it goes back to victim and other things, then you have a choice. And if you don't make that choice now, the universe will just keep bringing it up in different ways over and over and over again. And if you send the person away that's caused it, you lost the interaction. But if you engage and you start to talk and you start to feel and you start to understand, and what did you feel and what did I feel and where did this go back to and when was the first time I felt it and all this kind of stuff, that's a gift. And that's not a gift you're just going to get on the street. It's not a gift you're going to get from your boyfriend or your interactions. That's a gift as someone that's willing to go deep and own their shit. And that trigger response, that ability to just trigger people is a gift, but it can also feel like a curse, because you'll get blamed sideways for everything. And you need to learn to live in integrity. And I've had to do that. That integrity is, this is the way my actions are. I do not act on darkness, and it doesn't even feel that way. It's not like when darkness is out of control and you're not owning your darkness, it gets out of the cage once in a while and you do things and you take, and that's how rape happens and other things. But if you fully own your darkness and you take it as power, all of a sudden this deep visceral groundedness comes into a man, and he's like, I own my power, I'm my warrior. And a warrior does not hurt women and children. It does not do things to damage or take or steal when it's in its purity of respect and courage and integrity. And that's the difference. Once you own this gift and you have absolute integrity, people can say whatever the fuck they want, can claim anything they want, but when they don't give feedback or they don't explain what's going on, you take the gift from everyone, and a trauma is trying to be made to make you stop. And standing in that power and standing and shining despite people calling you names and talking behind your back and all this kind of stuff, which is done to fucking traumatize people and to try and make them small without shining their own light or figure out their own lesson from it, that I won't accept. And I stand in this power, and I stand in integrity, and I do no harm. And if I ever have done harm, contact me, talk about it. We'll go through it. I'm not angry. I have something to learn from that. And if it's a harm that you have, I'll support you in that space. And if you find out that it wasn't actually me that did it, we'll sit there, we'll walk through it. And if you can have that integrity, I can have that integrity, something massive healing happens, and that's free. Being a person that triggers isn't bad. It's actually the hardest gift that you're ever going to have. The darkest dark is the lightest light. And I'm not talking somebody that harms people, but somebody that can hold you in integrity and call it out and say, that didn't happen. Where the hell do you get off saying that? This is what I remember. What's going on? Oh, well, yeah, that happened when I was on my first date, or this happened from my teacher. This happened from my parents. This happened to whatever. That is a place of massive healing. That is a place of massive exploration. And that's what a person that triggers can give you if you hold yourself accountable, stay in integrity, and follow the energy. It's a very intense place. It can be very loving. It can be scary as hell. But going into that fear and diving it with a person that can hold you in integrity, hold you your space, is going to help you heal it. Whether you want to heal it or not is your choice. You can go victim or you can go, let's explore this, and magic happens. So, hello, Pamela. Thank you for saying hello. I'm wishing you all well, and I hope this helps. It's very fucking intense. It's a hard thing for me because people have tried to wound me because of these things and this power, but I'm standing in that power. I'm rising above it. I'm not giving a shit if no equal conversation, no free flow of what's going on, and to be able to heal these things. I can't be called anything if I'm not told why or where it happened or other things. And I'm so proud of that. I can stand here, I can look anybody in the eyes and call them out and say, that didn't happen. I was there. This is what I remember happening. Now, what's your story? And once you get through that, all of a sudden it's like, oh, I'm shining light. I'm not going to be able to respond, but it's far easier to gossip to your friends and go sideways and make some story out of it instead of looking in the eyes and saying, okay, that didn't happen. That came from here, this energy, and I'll guide you through that. If you hold integrity for me, just this, if it's equal and balanced, magic happens. So, it's a topic that's going on for a lot of people right now. Just own it. It's a gift, and it's part of our shining of our light, and it's part of gaining our integrity and learning ourselves and getting our power back and getting our courage back. And if you can stand in that, be called out on things, even though they're not real and true, and just stand there and project that the integrity, being received in integrity, asking for them to respond in integrity, you're going to find out that they're not going to respond because it wasn't true. And it was a way of them running away from doing their work. So I wish you all that integrity. I wish you all that ability to stand in trigger and to support other people in trigger and call truth, not to please them, not to help them, to respect yourself and self-love yourself first, and then hold them in that same space. And fuck, we're changing the world every day to have people like that are willing to do it, no matter how hard it is. And I'll tell you right now, I'm one of those people. Thank you, Jen. Love you too. Keep shining. This is crazy and hard, but the brighter you shine and the less you let other people call you names and other things, the more you're going to grow. So love you all. Wish you a great and beautiful day. And make some comments if you got some thoughts or if this brought stuff up for you, because I brought stuff up for me too while we were doing this. So love you all. Have a good day.